And in this video, we used a mobile glue pulling tower that I built a few months ago, and it worked out absolutely perfect for this type of damage. I was able to pull a large amount of the damage and stress relieve the crown and pop the dent out. Well, most of it. I still spent a lot of time pushing, and I highly recommend anyone who's an entry-level technician especially to watch the entire video from start to finish, because there's great content in this video, especially for R&I, intrusion beams, braces being bent, NVH, foams. Watch the entire video. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thanks for watching. Today's video is going to be a 2019 Hyundai door dent. This is more like a door smash. Two guys are wrestling. One guy threw the other guy onto the door, created this large dent. And take a look. This is what we did for him. 2.5 hour repair. 9:07 to 12:07. So it was a 3-hour total at the customer's location. Guys, enjoy the video. As always, thanks for watching. Thing we're gonna do is heat the panel up with the torch. That way it keeps it from cracking right there at the top edge of the dent where there's that crown is. It's pretty sharp actually. Doesn't look it too bad in the video, but it's pretty sharp. So I heated up as much as I could, get all the condensation off the panel. I sprayed it with my denatured alcohol, and once I did that, the panel was prepped, ready to go. I cleaning it off right here. As you see, denatured alcohol is great because it cleans everything off the panel. The oils, the greases, anything you need. Just use that. So what I'm using here is the large Keco tabs, the giant crease ones, and I put some Anson black PDR glue. It's great for cold temperatures. It sets up in 6 to 10 seconds, legitimately sets up that quickly in cold temperatures. In hot temperatures, it's terrible. But, so what I did is I put the tensioner on here and I applied a little bit of pressure. That way I can hook up my safety chains. These safety straps are to prevent it from blowing back and hitting me in the face. So I crank it down just enough to where I see it roll, that top of that crown just kind of rolls out. And once I saw that, I stopped. I knew right then and there I had to go look at the dent and assess it. So I pulled a little bit more. I can kind of feel the tension as I'm cranking, and then I just go straight to tapping, stress relieving that crown. And the great thing about holding that tension on there is this right here, you're gonna see in just a second. You're holding tension and boom, it just pops out. There's one. This is what it looks like once there's so much access. There's the brace I'm telling you about where it was bent. So what I'm doing here is bending it back into place. That way it, once I bend it back into place, it gives stability back into the door skin and keeps it from flopping around. And you don't want it flopping around, and it'll be too noisy when the customer's driving and things like that. You don't want noise and floppy, weird sounds while you're driving. And plus it made it difficult for me while I was repairing the damage. Just all we're doing here is just wedging, leveraging off this intrusion beam here. If you're ever doing doors and this intrusion beam is bent, or you see any cracked paint on the welds on the outside of the door shell where this is welded to the door shell, if you see those welds cracked, go ahead and replace the door because you got a safety issue at that point. Intrusion beam protects the passenger compartment, and it's imperative that this isn't damaged at any way, shape, or form. And if you do a repair, you are liable if something were to happen to the passenger if you repaired the vehicle and this was damaged. So this right here is just a noise, vibration, harshness. It keeps the panel from fluttering and creating weird vibrations and sounds while driving. That's all this little piece here is for. But intrusion beam, NVH. This is an NVH pad as well. This is too. So NVH stands for noise, vibration, harshness. And you know, this right here, this green stuff, is an NVH foam as well. It basically attaches the panel, the skin, to the intrusion beam and keeps it from fluttering as well. And if you have it with you and you see that these places right here where they're separated, just apply a little bit to it. It's really inexpensive. I don't have any on me, so I can't do it. But now you know. Intrusion beam, NVH pads. So that's what those are for, guys. If you didn't know, you know now. And great stuff. And you can leverage off this. And the reason why this was bent, because whenever the body of the person fell into the door shell or door skin, it bent this out. And the panel kept flexing while I was repairing it, and I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. So when I looked down in between the door gap, and I noticed that this was bent, so I need to take this interior trim panel and dust barrier off to get access and straighten it up. Unfortunately, it happens sometimes, but you got to do what you got to do. So there you go. Dent Zero, this one's for you. You wanted access to show us what it looked like from the back side of the repair while we're pushing. I made this specifically for you. So what I'm using is an extra wide weld tail from Dent Craft Tools, and I'm leveraging off the intrusion beam and removing there's a crease at the bottom of the door you don't really get to see in the video, but that's what I'm doing here. I'm just leveraging off that intrusion beam and removing that dent as much as that crease as I possibly can, because glue pulling wasn't working on that location. Now, the next thing I do here is I use a push tool from Dent Craft Tools. It's like a pistol, I don't know what they call it. So I'm pushing on this panel and I'm using my blending hammer, and I'm basically using it as a hammer on, hammer off dolly technique if you know anything about body shops. So I'm applying pressure to the back side of the low on the dent while tapping the crowns on the outside of the door skin. That way it brings the lows up and pushes the highs down. So you're kind of doing two things at the same time, and that way it just makes it easier for you on your repairs. So that's the technique to use, hammer on, hammer off dolly techniques. relieving that crown, or they left a crease in there. So what I had to do is basically use this tool and push a lot of that crease up very fast, very clean, without having pokey marks. So that's all you're seeing in the back in this part of the video is that right there. Once I was able to get that brace straightened back out and put more pressure or tension back onto the panel, I was able to push more effectively without the panel flopping around. You know, you just don't want to flop it around. So that's what you're seeing here. snap-on magnetic socket. That way the bolt doesn't fall out into the trim panel or into the door shell. Magnetic. That part number is MGMMS10A, 10mm 1/4 inch drive. Got it. What a nightmare. What did we just talk about? Things falling in the back of the door shell. You don't like that to happen, people. Plugged in, plugged in, plugged in, plugged in. Make sure everything's plugged in. All the bolts are in. Make sure all your bolts are in. I gotta fix this hole. Perfect. Put my watch back on. Started at 9:30. It's 11:45. So a quick tip, whenever you take the trim panel off, go ahead and make sure you get all your clips put back on the trim panel, and that way you don't forget when you go to put it back on. Just do that as soon as you take it off. So all you gotta do is hook up this and this. First thing you do, snap this in. You want to hear that click. And this just slides in, and it's got this tab that snaps into this little square hole. So you slide it in, hear that click, you're good to go. So it's got this ridge or this edge here, this U-shaped, and it slides in the top up here. So snap it into the top, slide it in, and then push. Now a tip, before you bolt it down, put the key in the ignition and make sure everything functions properly. Window goes up, window goes down. Now, if you have an automatic window regulator switch, you want to make sure that function works. This one doesn't, so I don't have to worry about it. Okay, I hear a weird sound, but it's just these little stickers that are hitting the edge. So I'm good there. And then you just snap this into place. Easy peasy. And then this little screw goes down in here.